Doot doot doot. Doot doot doot. Doot doot doot. Waiting to go live. Are there sound?
And Bernie Sanders.
Let's see if we hear John King say Bernie Sanders. Okay. So, we are going to begin with, this is day 2 of, editing. Hold on. That was kind of quiet. That's okay. Make it a little louder. Okay, so this is day 2 of editing my Feel the Burn video, if we do a second one. And these are the new clips that I've found. A lot of these latest ones are negative. I was labeling favorites before. And so what I'm going to do right now before I get to the new clips is I'm going to make sure I can I can name these clips. So I know what my favorites are and I know what they're about. So let's start with this one.
Well, a lot of Democratic voters, particularly the millennials you were just talking about, are with those policies. And socialism is not a dirty word to a lot of younger voters in this country. There have been polls taken on it. And they believe that in order to win, they have to appeal to those young voters, and then they will move to the middle.
Okay. Oh, and so, yeah, you couldn't see what I was typing last time, so I'm going to try to zoom in here a little bit so you can see the word. Maybe I can... There we go. Okay, here's what I'll do. Here's what I'll do. Better? Kind of better. Nope, that's not going to work. That's not going to work at all. Just trying to get you to see what I was typing, but then you can't really see the video because my screen has such high resolution.
Bernie Sanders so far left. Bernie Sanders so far left.
Grandfather of the left.
Absolutely. Cory Booker on the leftish.
On the leftish.
You know, this is all fine and good. But in a polarized, you know, Donald Trump goes to the right.
Right.
The Democrats go far to the left.
It's a problem. It's a problem. It's a problem. Amy Klobuchar, just on CNN last night. Amy Klobuchar goes, you know, I can't promise everything. The Green New Deal is aspirational. We can't get it done right away.
So they talk a little negative stuff there.
Is using the word socialism, which, as you know, is a bad word, has been a bad word in America, to try and scare voters and say you vote for Democrats, they're going to take away your money.
Right, but Kamala Harris to the left, Elizabeth Warren.
I want to play in to out. Gotta remember how to do that. I've forgotten all the stuff. All the things that I gotta do. Oh, so it's under view. Playback, okay. Play selection. Just want play to end. I don't know if that'll play to the end of my selection or just play to the end of the clip?
Absolutely.
To the left.
To the left of the left.
Right.
Let's try.
Is using the word socialism, which, as
Ooh.
you know, is a bad word, has been a bad word in America, to try and scare voters and say you vote for Democrats, they're going to take away your money.
Right.
Is using the word socialism, which, as you know,
Okay, well, it's still looping.
but the policies of the Democratic Party, the ones that we've seen so But the policies of the Democratic Party, the ones that we've seen so far in the candidates, seem to be progressing more and more to the left. But the policies of the Democratic Party, the ones that we've seen so far in the
Okay, good enough. Moving our way up. Let's see what this clip was. This is CNN. I'll just go from top down.
And Bernie Sanders makes an immediate splash in the 2020 race. A giant first-day fundraising haul. Now a Twitter battle with the president. A bigger campaign challenge.
So funds. Move on to the next one.
What do you think is the perfect model for him to run on, Venezuela or Cuba?
I think FDR is the best model. They called FDR a socialist for creating Social Security. And yeah, Brian, I realized we were in a depression at that time, but they also called Lyndon B. Johnson a socialist for creating Medicare. Right. We want to empower people and not empower Wall Street.
What do you think is the...
Okay, I added Fox there because it's a clip about Fox, even though it's a CNN thing. So yeah, oh, there we go. I just uncheck it. Okay, I thought if I checked one, it unchecked the other, but that's not how it is. Alright, good. So now it shouldn't loop anymore. It should just stop.
To begin right there with presidential politics and with new and clear evidence, Bernie Sanders was not a one-shot wonder. The Vermont senator is in a tweet war with President Trump today and hoping it only adds to his very rich opening act of the 2020 campaign. By rich, we mean nearly $6 million. That's the eye-popping number the Sanders campaign says it raised in the 24 hours after Sanders officially launched his 2020 run yesterday morning. That's a take that will get the attention of the rival Democratic campaigns.
Okay, and it stopped playing at the end of the selection. Very good. Moving on.
Day one, big day for Bernie. Some people thought crowded field this time. He had a one shot against Hillary Clinton last time. Wouldn't be as big deal this time. We don't know how this ends, but if you're Bernie Sanders, it's begun quite well.
Yeah, but this really shows that Bernie Sanders does have a very loyal and active fan base that still wants it to be him. Doesn't want a stand-in Bernie Sanders type. Doesn't want another, progressive who just isn't Bernie.
So they're talking about other candidates. Do I have do I even have a keyword for that? Crowd, age, that's how many. I mean, it's not about how crowded it is, it's about the other candidates. Competition. I'll just make a new one, I guess, and why not? Move it on.
The Democratic field now, and has covered Bernie for a long period of time in the 2016 campaign, has gravitated towards his policy proposals, which were considered out of the mainstream and kind of pushed aside by Clinton supporters as something that's not electable if you're backing that. Well, now those are the proposals that the vast majority of Democrats in the field are actually taking, and the fact that the OG can still raise all of the money here, and it's not just the top line figure. Look, we all knew he had a massive email list, and that can actually immediately get returns. The thing that I was struck by more than the 200,000 donors is
massive.
Based on the way people are signing up. This base is not going anywhere soon. I don't think there was ever a question whether or not Bernie Sanders was going to have money and the money to compete, but it's very clear he's probably going to have the most money and the most money to compete. Whether or not he's able to break through, given all the people who are kind of sharing or co-opting a lot of his ideas, remains an open question. But to your point, this is the way any candidate would want to start any primary campaign.
Massive. The most money. That's what he says most the way I say most to my cat. When I say my cat's handsome, I was like, oh, Weas, you're so handsome. You're the most handsome. The most handsomes. Alright. So let's speed things up a little bit. Let's go.
Wow, 6, that's a lot of cash.
Oh, that's it. Okay. Well, speaking of speeding things up, that clip is a second long. All right, moving on.
Look at the fundraising numbers. I think it works out to about $27, which was sort of his average donation rallying cry. Like, his supporters are with him because he's been on this for a long time.
$27. You remember it all too well, right? $27. $27. Hey, you know, it worked. It worked. Some of us rolled our eyes at all those emails from Bernie saying $27, but it worked.
I'm going to put that 27 there because they spoke specifically about that number, and that's a key number more than just funds. Moving on.
And one poll that came out last year showed that that S word is not as toxic as it used to be. Democrats actually view socialism as more favorable than capitalism, according to this poll that came out last year.
And that's
I still have a band-aid on my finger from slicing it, so it's on my left middle finger, so it's hard to type. I use that middle finger to type. So apologies for the slow typing.
And again, he's comfortable in his skin. That's what he's called himself forever, and he's very quick. And his supporters are very quick, those who've been around his campaign. As you saw the Chuck Rocca on Fox News saying, well, no, it's like LBJ, or, you know, but the other candidates cringe.
Wait, is this isn't zoomed in for you? When I'm digitally zoomed into the screen, but you guys aren't seeing that? Ah, I'm looking at the stream right now. It's just the why the heck? Oh, why doesn't I'm using the OBS software? Why isn't it? It also looks really stroby. Why is it so stroby? Let me see something. Oh, because I'm doing a window, not Oh, okay, hold on. Whoa. Whoa. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna wait for the stream to catch up. Let's see if that makes anything smoother. I just went to OBS and switched to desktop, but because my OBS was on my desktop, it was showing itself, so it turned into an Inception thing. Let's see, my stream's got to catch up. Wow. Yeah, okay, there's Inception. Alright. So now we're back. So now, let's see if zooming in actually works. I'm just going to keep working here, and if I see that the stream caught up, then great. If not, oh well. Because I don't want you guys to be watching me, watching the screen, waiting for it.
That is the position that Bernie seems to be in right now, is with a very powerful appeal to a strong and active part of the party base.
Is that about funds? It's about his base. I'll do base. Oh, yay! It's zoomed in. Okay, good. This is what I was trying to... I thought this was happening the whole time. Oh my gosh. Because I have such a high aspect ratio thing resolution on my monitor. Okay. I'm gonna figure out this live streaming thing one day. One day I'll figure this out.
And there was polling that showed that Bernie Sanders polled better against Donald Trump than Hillary Clinton did. And so, you know, the mantra like Bernie would have won comes into play. And Sanders has also said this is about continuing the political revolution that started in 2016. And that means not just getting through the primary and elevating these ideas, but actually winning the general election.
You gotta win the general election. Come on.
I think it's also about authenticity, that he's willing to embrace that label, that he's not afraid of the attacks that the Republicans will throw at someone who calls themselves a socialist, and I think that's powerfully appealing to people that he knows what he is.
Right, and having, A, he's comfortable in his skin, B, he's been around the presidential track, which sometimes experience helps on the campaign trail. We shall see. It's a fascinating start. We'll see how it goes.
All right, so now we can finally move on to the brand new clips that I've downloaded. See if there's even anything. This is like web stuff. All right, I can zoom out for this. After all that work to figure out how to zoom in, I can now zoom out. What a joke. Oh, not that. That's not what I wanted to do. To hide this. Try to make this bigger, though. I will actually try to make it bigger. Go a little bit bigger. There we go. Okay. So yeah, this was ABC Online, I think. This wasn't televised, I don't believe. So, but let's see if there's anything good here.
To decide whether or not they need to do a dual.
I think it's at the very end, right? Let's go to this rules and donate, vote 2020. Here we go. See what they say.
The land has been in our family for generations.
So it's certainly a passionate and personal fight for you and your family. When Freelanders and also administration, I support land rights that are part of this world. So yeah, thank you so much. For joining us. Really important to have your perspective and fantastic to see firsthand. We're well. Thank you for joining us. You to follow that story numbers for Bernie Sanders.
Here we go. This is fun.
We had a lot of the holiday weekend with some absolutely incredible fundraising numbers for Bernie Sanders, who just got in the race early this week. Give us the latest on what his campaign is saying for how much money they've raised.
It is pretty astounding. In the first 24 hours since he announced yesterday at around 7 a.m., Bernie Sanders has raised $6 million.
Wow.
Which, to put it in perspective, the next closest 2020 Democrat this cycle was Kamala Harris. She raised $1.5 million in the first 24 hours. Amy Klobuchar raised just over $1 million in the first 48.
Okay, well, we don't care about these. Comparing them to one other person, the next tie stuff, that's cool, but
at this cycle was Kamala Harris. She raised $1.5 million in the first 24 hours.
Make that a favorite. And while we're here, we can already say ABC funds. I'll even write competition. Oh, N. There we go. And see what else they gotta say.
A formidable candidate this time around, even for those that have, concerns that he still needs to win back some Democrats after 2016.
Okay, and this visual is nice. I'd probably use a visual. I'd probably show this visual while we heard them speaking.
Formidable candidate this time around.
What am I miss?
I mean, this truly is evidence that Bernie Sanders that.
I don't need to include this is the evidence that. I can just say, just start this clip with Bernie. And if I want to change it later on, I'll have this clip on my hard drive, and I can always go back and pull more from earlier. But right now, this seems to be the most important thing.
Bernie Sanders is going to be a formidable candidate.
See, I can just play that. Bernie Sanders is going to be a formidable candidate. I don't need to have all that stuff leading up to that. I need the bottom line of these clips.
This time around, even for those that have, concerns that he still needs to win back some Democrats after 2016.
Okay, and that could be its own clip, but let's hear if this guy says something else.
That's incredible, and you can see some of the comparisons here on the screen. I mean,
no, okay. I don't need him to tell me to look at the screen. So we got the same thing, really. I'll go in here, copy this, and bring it down to here. Why the heck not? I'll say 2, just so people know, so I know that I didn't just duplicate this. There's actually a second clip. All right.
That's incredible, and you can see some of the comparisons here on the screen. I mean, he's in a league of his own when it comes to fundraising, and he was back in 2012 as well, but this just shows that that support has certainly been sustained. And how important is money this early? I mean, we're pretty far out from the election.
We're very far out. We're just under a year away from the Iowa caucuses, from the first nominating process. But money is a very, it's a very important indicator, A, of how much resources you're going to have going forward, and B, just how much grassroots support you're going to have. So the 6 million number is very important for Bernie, but that was from over 150,000 individual donors, which just goes to the point that this very active base that he has, it looks like they're going to be just as active this time around.
Okay, so I'm going to grab that part about the base.
That was from over 150, important for Bernie, but that was from over 150,000 individual donors, which just goes to the point that this very active base that he has, it looks like they're going to be just as active this time around.
Well, I'm going to force a lot of the other candidates to spend money as well.
Exactly.
And put them in a bind, which would be fascinating to watch. And we should say that the President of the United States is also fundraising himself.
Okay, don't care about that. So, ABC funds competition as well, but also like his crowd, his do I want to write supporters? Do I want to write his base? I have base already, so I'll do base. All your base are belong to Bernie.
Bernie Sanders' $6 million figure. He just put out a fundraising request warning his supporters of the fundraising prowess of Bernie Sanders. So to be continued. Johnny Verhoeven, thanks for sticking around. Appreciate it. Thank you for joining us today on this snowy Wednesday. Good to see Johnny in the hour.
Snowy Wednesday. Hey, thanks for letting me know this was Wednesday. Is there a date on here? No. But if it was this Wednesday, then that would be the 20th. So 2/20. 2019. Oops. Well, that's cool. So I went offline by accident. I hit the wrong button, and I hit the button that stops the stream. So the question is this now a second stream? On my video it said stream ended, but now it started up again. So it says it's been going for a total of about 22 minutes. I hope it stays streaming. I hope when this is archived, it's archived as one video. All right.
Bernie is back. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders officially announced today that he's running for president again. In a video, he says he started the political revolution in 2016, and then he now wants to finish it. He joins a growing field, 11 other candidates already in the race on the Democratic side. And tonight, what President Trump is now saying about Bernie Sanders running, and what we know about Joe Biden tonight.
Okay, well.
President Trump is now saying about Bernie Sanders running.
Okay, make that a favorite. And it's ABC. What, did I have like an announcement? Announce? Yes, I did. Announce. And crowded field. They gotta talk about that.
Running. And what we know about Joe Biden tonight
is back.
There's.
Tonight, Bernie is back.
I'm running for president.
The Vermont senator sparked a progressive movement in 2016, taking on the establishment and Hillary Clinton.
The American people are sick and tired of hearing about your damn emails.
Thank you. Me too. Me too. But this time around, he's got more competition. Some who also support his old rallying cries, like Medicare for all and free college tuition.
You know what's happened in over 3 years? All of those ideas and many more are now part of the political mainstream.
Senator Elizabeth Warren this weekend unveiling her plan for universal child care.
Okay, we're getting a little far off from what Bernie was saying.
And free college tuition.
Okay, so so this is another. Uh-oh. ABC announce.
3 years, all of those ideas and many more are now part of the political mainstream.
Senator Elizabeth Warren this weekend unveiling her plan for universal child care.
America's middle class is under attack.
Promises.
I am not for free or your college for all. No, thank you.
So let me ask you this, because
if I was a genie.
I wish if I was a magic genie and could give that to everyone and we could afford it, I would. No.
But I can't do anything anymore.
And while Sanders calls himself a Democratic socialist, his opponents like Senator Kamala Harris want no part of that label.
I will tell you, I am not a Democratic socialist.
But Sanders' fans...
And every answer I give, I have to kind of laugh when I give the answer. What a joke. What an absolute joke. Why is everything funny? You're trying too hard to seem likable and human by laughing at everything. Oh, I've got a sense of humor. Just, no. Stop it.
Fans are still feeling the burn on the first day of her campaign.
It sounds like an inauthentic laugh.
Harris raised $1.5 million. Sanders today raised more than twice that amount. Still, this year, Sanders faces another hurdle. He's up against 6 female Democratic candidates while facing accusations.
Okay, so, alright. So, she's talking about a lot of stuff. I can break this up. Hold on here.
Senator Kamala Harris want no part of that label.
I will tell you, I am not a Democratic socialist.
But Sanders' fans are still feeling the burn.
Okay. Actually, I'll keep this in the...
Fans are still feeling the burn on the first day of... burn.
So this part of her segment, she's talking about... Come on, she's talking about socialism. Democratic socialism. And in the next clip... What happened? Ah. Okay. Go.
Burn. On the first day of her campaign, Harris raised $1.5 million. Sanders today raised more than twice that amount.
So that is about fundraising. ABC funds. Okay. Oh, come on now.
More than twice that amount. Still, this year, Sanders faces another hurdle.
Now
He's
the
up
crowded
against 6 female Democratic candidates while facing accusations from women who worked on his 2016 campaign about sexual harassment by male staffers. The senator has publicly apologized.
Let's be clear that he didn't sexually harass anyone. It's awful that people on his staff did, but he didn't. And he's not someone that seems like he would, create that type of environment, inspire that type of stuff. So crowd and negative. I'll put in negative. Okay. That's a negative thing that they said, and that could maybe go on the front of the video.
Has publicly apologized.
All right, so let's get to Mary Bruce. She's live up on the Hill tonight. And Mary, President Trump was asked today about Bernie Sanders. The president saying, quote, personally, I think he's missed his time, but I like Bernie, is what the president said. And Mary, a lot of talk tonight about one Democrat who's still publicly on the fence, former Vice President Joe Biden. This was the video, Mary, you saw this weekend, getting a lot of attention. The president of Armenia there on the left, you can see what he asked. He said, are you running? Hearing from
Publicly, David Biden says he has not made a decision yet.
Bruce tonight. Mary, thank you.
What, that's it? That's all she's there for? Okay, well, we got it. CBSN, this is online, right? I'm into these collared ties, the ones that are where the angle is wide enough and it's long enough that it goes into the collar, rather than the ones that kind of go straight down and button to the shirt, which I liked before. I kind of like this wide look now, I gotta say. Dig it.
In Tuesday's Red and Blue political roundup, Senator Bernie Sanders
Whoa! He's got an accent. I didn't know that. All right.
As you know, Senator roundup.
Trying to get right at the beginning of the S. There we go.
Senator Bernie Sanders officially launched his second bid for the White House. The Vermont lawmaker told CBS this morning he's more confident than ever in his progressive agenda. Sanders' ideas were called radical by some in 2016, but many of the Democratic contenders are now embracing them. Here's part of the senator's interview with John Dickerson.
Is he from New Zealand? Is that New Zealand or Australia? I can never tell. Okay, so CBSN announce. He said a bunch of stuff. I'll just do announce.
Senator Bernie Sanders officially launched his second bid for the White House. The Vermont lawmaker told CBS this morning he's more confident than ever in his progressive agenda. Sanders' ideas were called radical by some in 2016, but many of the Democratic contenders are now embracing them. Here's part of the senator's interview with John Dickerson.
Yeah, I mean...
Administration because of...
Ooh, I jumped way ahead.
Now, not everyone feels Sanders.
God, why do you gotta bring Trump into everything? Even this, who cares?
That's right. I think Jeff Mason does. Let's bring him in. He's a White House correspondent for Reuters, joining us to talk about this and other political headlines. Jeff, the president held a rally Monday in Florida, down in Miami. I was there. It was supposed to be focused on Venezuela, but much of it was aimed at potential 2020 opponents. Let's just quickly take a listen to some of what the president said.
Why? Who cares what he says?
Just before we hear Senator Sanders re-enter the presidential race.
Well, I think you're absolutely right that there was a strong undercurrent there in his remarks yesterday that was trying to contrast what's going on in Venezuela with what could potentially happen, or suggest that could potentially happen in the United States if some of the people who are running for the Democratic nomination, namely Bernie Sanders, but I think the president probably also has AOC, Representative Ocasio-Cortez in mind as well there. It's an interesting comment. It's an interesting way of getting his base sort of riled up a little bit against some of those ideas, but it was...
Why are we framing this from Trump's perspective? Jesus.
As you say, it was in the context of a speech that was largely about Venezuela and his administration's actions to encourage the military aid in Venezuela. The undercurrent of the theme was definitely...
This is a segment on Bernie, and yet I've seen more shots of Trump than anything else. Good God.
That Democrats will now need to...
They're saying Democrats, but we're looking at Trump.
Embrace a progressive agenda to clinch the nomination, or to redefine or even define what American socialism is, because what's happening in Venezuela, is an economic disaster for many reasons. Finland could be argued as a socialist country that's doing absolutely fine. So what to make of socialism in this campaign?
Well, I don't think you're going to hear that many people use the word socialism on the Democratic side. Certainly Bernie Sanders has self-identified as a Democratic socialist, but you're not going to hear any of the others running for the nomination use that term. You will hear people talk about being to the left or being progressive, and some of the ideas that you just played in that clip from Bernie Sanders' interview, those ideas are going to come out and have already come out in that campaign. But I don't think that the focus is going to be on the word socialism. I think that there will be more focus instead on issues with regard to getting health care for a lot of people, with education and college education without debt for a lot of people. Some on the right, and President Trump may be one of them, may describe those as socialist ideas, but I think that term will get less attention on the left.
Let's look at what's happening on the legal front. We've been looking into 16 states led by California now suing the Trump administration because of his effort to...
I guess now we're just totally on Trump. Yeah, that's how I feel. I clicked on a video to hear people discuss Bernie Sanders, and I see only footage of Trump, and then talking about suing him and all this stuff. So this is my expression after watching this video.
I want to refresh all of our recollection about just how well Bernie Sanders really did last time. We'll put a map. I want to refresh all of our recollection about just how well Bernie Sanders really did last time. We'll put a map up, actually, that shows that he actually won his primaries in 22 states. What did you learn from the last race that you could apply to this race to do even better?
Well, first of all, I would say that what we learned, and I've been doing this for 29 years, and I've never seen a campaign like we ran in 16, and that has nothing to do with Bernie Sanders, but the people that he motivated. That will always be the true difference between this campaign and any campaign that goes forward. We want to build on that momentum for 2020.
Oh, this is the guy that was wearing the cowboy hat in the Fox interview. Nice.
But there's a real growth out there in activism. Part of that is spurred.
Oh, campaign senior advisor. Well, that's why. And he went on Fox. Cool. All right.
By people who don't like Trump. And part of it is like the legacy of Bernie Sanders and the message that he's been talking about for years, the vision that he had 3 years ago was supposed to have been a fringe idea outside the norm when we talked about Medicare for all, a livable wage at $15, free colleges for public universities, and now that's mainstream. So we want to build off those ideas, build off of those 22 states that we ran to actually bring a narrative to this Democratic presidential primary that gives us a great shot to win.
So the fact that the country, or at least the discussion with...
Okay, he said a lot there. Let's see.
States that we ran to actually bring a narrative to this Democratic presidential primary that gives us a great shot to win.
So the fact
I guess I'll just say campaign.
And to win.
Okay, kind of reminds me of James Carville with his accent, his bald head, and he's a Democratic strategist. Alright, so this is, what is this? Bloomberg? I'll say Bloom. I'll just do Bloom. Campaign, I guess. I'm trying to. Oh, all right. I guess what I'll. Okay, I got it. I got it. I got it. There. Okay.
So the fact that the country, or at least the discussion within the Democratic Party, has moved toward Bernie Sanders is a strength, but it is also possibly a weakness, because there are going to be other people who are also going to be appealing to some of the very same people, people such as Elizabeth Warren, but not limited to Elizabeth Warren. Does that make it more difficult for you this time?
See, I want people talking about Bernie, but he's on the Bernie Sanders campaign, so I guess my thought process is, should I include this? Because I really want this to be about other people talking about Bernie Sanders, not to hear directly from Bernie or his people. I guess I'll actually skip that for now, and I'll come back to it if I need to.
A major new assignment for NJ Working Families Executive Director Ana Lilia Mejia. She's to become political director for the Bernie Sanders presidential campaign.
Well, so there goes another person. I'll favorite it, and I'll say NJ TV, I guess. So that's what it says down there. Campaign, I guess. And she was interviewed by somebody?
Correspondent Brenda Flanagan.
Now, you were a Bernie delegate back in 2016.
Okay, yeah, I'll just skip this one too.
Oh, the Democrats have been living a utopian fantasy ever since the midterms, but as more eager know-it-alls,
Says the woman who was an MTV VJ. All right.
enter the presidential sweepstakes, it's obvious someone's going to need to return from cloud cuckoo land in order to become a real presidential contender. You have to differ.
This is very professional news reporting. They have this graphic and say cuckoo land. No, Fox is so professional. Fox Business. Oh, that's so professional.
You have to differentiate yourself. Everyone on the left has been doing their best Bernie Sanders impression, touting both the Green New Deal and Medicare for All.
Where is she looking? She's not looking at the camera. What's over there? What's happening off camera? Where's she looking at? She's still looking over there. What's over there? She's still looking over there. Where's she looking at? Was she given the wrong camera to look at? She makes more sense in reverse. Nerf. What a joke.
Anyone can be a theoretical commie sheep and promise everything. That's easy. Just
Okay, forget this. This is just a mess. Commie sheep? Yeah, that sounds like stuff that's worth listening to.
So John Dickerson is with us now to talk a little bit more about that interview. John, thank you so much for joining us. I would think that when we're just looking at the sort of present list of competitors for Bernie Sanders, this is probably the diverse group of people, more diverse than he's ever run against.
The most diverse.
Ever for anything he's ever run for.
Yes,
right?
Sure.
And, you know,
that any Democrat has ever run for ever.
Ever left, particularly socialist.
Again, let's just be clear that while we do want a more diverse field, we want more women, we want more people of color running. Who is this? I haven't even heard of this person yet. Marianne Williamson. While we want them to be diverse, we also want to have the proper policies, and we don't want someone just saying the policies. We want someone who actually believes in the policies. How do you know if they actually believe in it? You look at their past record, and if their past record matches what they're saying now, then we can trust them. And it seems like the only three that I trust are right here: Warren, Gabbard, and Sanders. Sanders has been doing it the longest, so I trust him the most right now, and that's who I want to be for president. But if he drops out, I will be more than happy to choose either of these two. Women and women of color. If you want to say, if you're from Hawaii, if that's person of color, if you're Hawaiian, even though it's part of the United States, but I don't know. I don't know how we define it anymore. I would be happy to pick either of those two.
Socialist. Now he doesn't sound that far.
My brain is crashing.
I would think that when we're just looking at the sort of present list of competitors for Bernie Sanders, this is probably the.
All right, crowd. All right, I'm focused. They're talking about crowd.
During the last election, some of the things that he said seemed particularly left, particularly socialist. Now he doesn't sound that far from a lot of the candidates that we see here. Everyone's talking about some form of healthcare coverage for all. Everyone's talking about some sort of break on education, whether it's free education or some sort of subsidized education. Did he talk to you about his strategy to compete with this different field of competitors?
Well, I don't care about the question, but okay, so this is CBSN, comma, space, copy, all. So crowd and socialism. Next.
Of competitors.
Well, before answering that question, this idea of being a democratic socialist, the democratic socialists actually even have some dispute with him, because essentially what it has come to mean in certain circles is just a really energized kind of New Deal, which is a lot of social services for people who don't have them in American society. Right. But some democratic socialists believe, no, actually a market-based system is bad for mankind, and so we want to dismantle the market-based system. So anyway, that's not what he believes, although certainly that's what the president would accuse him of believing. I think it's of believing.
So there are democratic socialist groups that don't want even any capitalist society. And they disagree with Bernie, because that's not what Bernie believes. It's so weird how we don't all think the exact same way. We're not just following one person and doing whatever they say. We actually have independent thought. What a surprise.
His essential message is this. I believed these things for a very long time.
Okay, well, yeah, this is his message. Yes, this is what I was saying. Okay.
Of believing. I think his essential message is this. I believe these things for a very long time. People are now coming over to my way of thinking. If you want somebody who really believes them and has talked about them when they were unpopular and when it was hard to talk about them and nobody was listening and people laughed, you want somebody who believes it and has it in their bones. That's me. And a lot of what campaigns are
correct
about is showing that you just are committed to an idea. This is what the wall was about with President Trump when he was a candidate. The wall was a symbol.
Okay, well, we don't need to hear about the wall.
Is a wall and a candidate.
Saying, this is what I believe. So I guess authenticity and socialism. Right.
When he was a candidate. The wall was a symbol. In other words, he was more maximalist than anybody else. And so voters could say, whatever happens, happens. But I know that he'll be the one doing exactly what the president's doing, which is going to the mat for this issue all the time.
Senator Sanders struggled in
2016 issues.
Senator Sanders struggled in 2016 with African-American voters. It's something we were talking about with an advocate of his earlier. Hillary Clinton got something like 86% of the African-American vote. He got 14%. Even though his message, the one that he spoke about to you and the one that he has always spoken about, is one that, that sort of resonates with everybody, whether you are black, white, whether you're LGBTQ, or middle class, or worse. And yet, he's going to be facing this list of candidates, a gay candidate, African-American woman. And how does he plan to reach out to those voters that he wasn't able to get in 2016?
Huh, I wonder why he wasn't able to get them in 2016. Maybe it was because the media didn't really give him that much attention aside from what I was able to put together in my Feel the Burn video last time, but he didn't really have much name recognition to start with, and he didn't really get much name recognition throughout the throughout that entire race, but I think now he obviously has a head start this time around, considering how much money he brought in. So, missing 2016, I guess, since I wrote that. Because they're asking how does he reach out because of his problems in 2016. Let's see what they...
Well, I think he's going to keep making the same pitch, but it is a pitch that has a little bit more of a direct connection to the African-American community. And I think he will frankly hope to not have, we got two things will be different. One, Bill Clinton was called the first black president because of his relationship with the African-American community. So the Clintons had a special relationship with African-American activists and that community. In this case, also, he's running against candidates who might split the black vote. And so he might be able to make a case hoping that both A, he's successful in his own terms, but also that the vote will be split up a little bit.
I mean, I don't know what else to type other than black vote.
They're the one. Republicans will say that what has been happening with the Democratic Party over time is the party's being pushed further to the left. That the stars now, after the last midterm election, are all these really left-leaning stars. But I wonder if that's actually the case when it comes to the people who are voting, and whether or not a more centrist candidate like maybe Biden or Amy Klobuchar, who seems to be sort of pivoting towards a more centrist point of view, if that person stands a greater chance of winning when you have sort of a field of other people who are kind of saying sort of similar things.
I want to know if a candidate that's more friendly to our corporate news station, corporate owners, has a chance to win. Someone more centrist. I'm desperate. I'm scared.
Similar things.
Oh, please, God, let there be a centrist that will win. Someone that will not take away our corporate overlords' fat checks and money and things of... My brain is crashing. Oh my gosh. She talked about moderates and leaning left, so I guess that would be the socialism tag.
Similar things.
Well, this is why elections are so wonderful. Is we don't know. And one of the things that will be adjudicated right now is where and how big this part of the party is. This happened in the Democratic Party in 1972 with McGovern and Howard Dean in 2004. Howard Dean was the darling of the liberal groups. He created this new fundraising grassroots network that Jerry Brown had not been able to do in 1992. And so people thought, oh my gosh, the Democratic Party's going way to the left. But then Zoom comes in John Kerry, who's about his kind of standard middle of the road Democratic candidate. So
Yeah, Zoom comes in John Kerry, middle of the road, and how did he do?
in 1992. And so people thought, oh my gosh, the Democratic Party's going way to the left. But then Zoom comes in John Kerry, who's about as kind of standard middle of the road Democratic candidate. So we'll have to see this.
Yeah, Zoom in comes John Kerry. And, you know, I went to his rallies. I voted for John Kerry, but he lost. You know who else lost? That was supposed to be sort of middle of the road, conservative Democrat? Hillary Clinton. She also lost. So, you know who else lost to a Republican? Al Gore. At least he was a bit more liberal with with his environmental policies, but that lockbox talk. Oh my gosh.
Time, whether there will be a lot of debate as they all try to compete with each other on something like Medicare for All, which will give it the feeling of being quite liberal. But you never know when the voters get together and they start to think, well, okay, let's get somebody who kind of is interested in expanding health care coverage for everyone, but who has, you know, foreign policy chops or something that stands in for more moderation.
There's nothing worth grabbing.
You heard it from the senator. This time he's going to win. Does he have a path? You have been very close to a lot of these elections. You actually overseen them as head of DNC. Does he have a path to victory?
He does, but it's a tougher path than it was before, because before he automatically, being the only real progressive candidate in the race, he inherited that man.
Okay, I gotta
20, but yesterday I think.
I'm losing my mind.
White House reporter Gabby Orr. Good morning, Gabby.
Good morning.
So Sanders obviously left the imprint on the Democratic Party. Sanders obviously.
Good morning.
So Sanders obviously left the imprint on the Democratic Party, but has the party moved past him? As the Dallas Morning News writes in an editorial, the field has been filling up with 5 women, 4 racial minorities, a little-known white congressman, and a gay mayor. That is a quote. Is there no room for Bernie or even Biden, who are older white men, even though they can bring in a lot of money?
You know, I think the status quo was that Bernie Sanders had outdone himself in 2016 and that he wasn't going to run again or shouldn't run again in 2020. But yesterday, I think, proved otherwise. If you look at the reaction to his campaign announcement yesterday, he raised a record, 7 figures in the first 3 hours.
Oh, okay, so I gotta break this up. This is long.
Racial minorities, a little-known white congressman, and a gay mayor. That is a quote.
So that'll be Fox crowd. Announce crowd.
Even though they can bring in a lot of money.
You know, I think the status quo was that Bernie Sanders had outdone himself in 2016 and that he wasn't going to run again or shouldn't run again in 2020. But yesterday, I think in 2020, but yesterday, I think, proved otherwise. If you look at the reaction to his campaign announcement yesterday, he raised a record, 7 figures in the first 3 hours after announcing his campaign for 2020. So the energy is still very much behind Bernie Sanders, even in a Democratic field of primary candidates who have already moved very much to the left, and in some cases even further to the left than Sanders himself.
Who moved further to the left than Sanders? Okay, so that'll be Fox Fun. Probably some bass. Thank goodness for the mute, so I could cough and not cough directly into the microphone. And I don't know if you've been watching my other Feel the Burn videos from like video number 1. There were less clips and they played a lot longer. And then as it went on, some of those clips were disappearing, but the clips were still the same length, but I just took some clips out that weren't as important to BC, which I just loved everything they were saying. So those were kind of long. But yeah, it was getting smaller and smaller and smaller, the clips. So right now, while I am trying to find sort of manageable sized chunks and not just leave the whole clip as is, and I'm trying to splice it up a little bit, they're still fairly long, but that's okay for now. Once I start putting them onto the timeline and finding music, I'll probably start trimming things out even more, trimming out certain words, taking what they're saying and deleting all the uhs and ums and silence in between, and then putting a graphic or something over it so you don't see all the jump cuts from the edits of where I've cut out the ums and the uhs and the silence. So that'll shorten things up, but we're looking sort of big picture here. We're just getting overall idea of what everyone's saying. So yeah, let's just keep moving and don't worry about how big these chunks of clips and favorites are.
Let's look at that left platform for many of the candidates right now. Free everything for free.
Not everything for free. What is? I mean, Fox is just preaching to their base that they're not going to change any minds.
Let's look at that left platform for Let's look at that left platform for many of the candidates right now. Free everything for free for everyone. Do you see any candidates carving a more moderate path that can actually win the primary?
There's definitely a few who have tried to sort of stay away from these big promises, these progressive.
But seriously, how many people watching Fox would see this and actually get upset? Who would see this and be upset? I guess someone that already has been to college and all they're thinking now is, I don't want my money now that I've gotten what I needed to get to where I needed to get. I don't want to help anybody else out, I guess. I don't think they realize that a lot of this stuff is going to be funded by the taxation of billionaires, taxing them in a way that we get so much money out of them, but because of how much money they had to begin with, they'd barely notice. They have more money than you can live on. So taking out a couple $100,000, it's not going to affect them because they have billions of dollars. Billions. Have you ever seen Brewster's Millions? I would love for these people to watch Brewster's Millions, a movie where the guy has to spend millions of dollars. And it's near impossible for him to do it. I mean, there are things like he can't just buy really expensive artwork just to buy it to get rid of the money. He can't give the money away. But just trying to, but still, even with those rules, he still has to sort of. Oh, and he can't end with any items in his hand. He can't just buy all this property and cars and stuff. But even with that said, you can see how hard it is to spend that kind of money. You can't get rid of it. There's just, you have too much. So, you know, they buy these mansions, they buy these cars, these billionaires, they buy politicians, and they still have millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. We just take a couple $100,000 from them to better the lives of other people. I don't see the problem, but especially when the way they got the money is because they were in a position to pay off lobbyists to help them and not other people. We're just trying to level the laws as well, so the law doesn't benefit one person over another person, and in the meantime take the money that they earned kind of unfairly.
At that left platform.
Yesterday, I think proved.
Let's look at that left platform from. let's look at the platform for candidates right now. Everything for free, for everyone. Do you see candidates for everyone that actually the primary?
Oh, what? Huh? Hold on. That was already a thing? Okay.
In the primary.
There's definitely a few who have tried to sort of stay away from these big promises, these progressive populist ideas, or at least allegedly. Amy Klobuchar is one of them that comes to mind. If you watched the town hall that she participated in earlier this week, quickly walked that back after realizing how that could damage middle-class Americans and businesses. And so I do think that there's an effort among some candidates to sort of stay away from these big radical ideas. But on the other hand, you have several Democrats who were previously more mainstream, more moderate, who have definitely tacked left just to appeal to Democratic voters in the primary. Kirsten Gillibrand is a fantastic example of that. She has talked about wanting government guaranteed jobs, floor wages, a single-payer healthcare system. These are things that she would have never supported, even 10 years ago.
She would have never supported even 10 years ago. That's why I can't vote for someone like Gillibrand. And she has Pfizer, who is holding a big fundraiser for her. So Gillibrand for the drug brand.
And now
Drug brands for the Gillibrands.
she is just to shore up votes among those progressive voters in the Democratic Party.
No, the road is long. We are only at the beginning. Gabby Orr, thank you so much for that this morning. We appreciate it.
So this video is at an hour now. I still got all this stuff to do. Oof. But basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to go, like I can just highlight and just show favorites, so it clears out all the other stuff. So these are all my favorites, but then they're collapsed too. That's great. And I'll figure out how I want to organize them. These are all specifically from John Dickerson, fine. If I highlight them, it should just bring in those favorites. So there you go.
Minorities, a little-known white congressman, and a gay mayor. That is a quote. So Sanders obviously left the imprint.
And what I'm probably going to do, I'm going to have to figure out the math on this. I want to do letterboxed to make it cinematic. So I gotta figure out the math. But, I'm also gonna want this to be 1080. I think it's something like 1920 by 800, I think is what it is. Something like that. Delete these off the timeline. Highlight all these. Right click. Is it right click? No. Oh, type. Yeah, we want it to fill. So now when we bring these clips on, see it fits this wide. See how it's much longer than it is tall. That gives you that anamorphic aspect ratio looking thing. But I don't think that's right. I don't know if that's the right aspect ratio. I can't remember the pixels. I gotta look it up. Maybe it's like 830. I think it's a bit taller than what we had. But anyway, so once we do that, if text is a little too wild, I can go ahead and, because now you can see the outline that represents the entire frame of the clip, and I can bring it into view. But anyway, so yeah, I can crop out words. If cropping out all these words is what I wanted to do, I would think in this case, oh, but she has all this headroom, so I would probably just not stretch it out that way. No, God, no. I need to lock the, there we go. I can start bringing up, I can just zoom in a bit. Like that. Do something like that. And when I do the cinematic color grading to it, what I'd probably do is go to generators, and there'd be an adjustment layer. Oh no, it's a title, right? It's a title, not a generator, of course. Now I'm getting way ahead of myself, but when I edit my films, I do this. I like to see what it's going to look like visually and what it's going to sound like, and then I edit within that context, even though that's not the way I was taught, and that's not the way anybody's taught. It's not the way you should do it. But, it's the way I keep doing it. So, I will, you know, grab this. This is an adjustment layer. So any filters and anything that you do to this purple bar will affect all the clips that are below the purple bar. But there's nothing on the purple bar, so nothing's going to happen. I could have kept the aspect ratio the same and just put the widescreen black bars on the purple bar, but I like cropping. I like cropping. So I would go to this, and I'm coming to here. I would find some color grading that I like. I could color, you know, I could tweak it myself. I could look for presets. Hold on, I gotta highlight this. Oof, oof, oof. These are just so extreme. Presets usually aren't very good. Cold look. See, that looks like almost like a damaged TV. I might use something like that for the opening of my video when we're looking at all the negative press. Ooh, that's for dreamy. Natural. That doesn't look natural at all. I could try to find what I got for my last film. Here's Film Convert. Throw it onto the bar. So already, so yeah, standard. So we're going, what is happening? What is happening there? So we got the temperature, we can, you know, do that, make it cooler. I don't want to do any of that. We could add grain, sure, we can make it film grain. Why not? Let's make this look like film.
For 2020, so
Look at that.
the
See the
energy
grain?
is still very much behind Bernie Sanders, even in a Democratic field of primary candidates who have already moved very much to the left, and in some cases
that
even
grain?
further to the
Ooh,
left
too
than
far.
Sanders himself.
Take the grain off. What? Look at her face very carefully. Look at her skin. It almost looks like it's pixels from a bad video compression, but watch. See? No grain. Grain? No grain. So, I mean, that's, you know, maybe that's something I want to do do something new to this video to make it stand out a little bit more from what I did the last time.
So John Dick.
It also might, having film grain, it might hide the fact that some of these clips were not high quality to begin with. So the crappy video compression artifacts might be hidden. I mean, I could go to 16mm, so the grain's really grimy. Let me bring this up to 200. Sorry, I'm zooming in and out. I know it's a little out, in, out, in, out. So this is the kind of Walking Dead looking business. The grain is a lot thicker and chunkier. You can get to a lot more fine grain. Like sandpaper, you know, you have like sandpaper that's lower grade is very chunky. 35mm Academy, 35mm full frame. So that's an option. I don't believe I used that in my first video. Is it Cinelook? S-curve? That'll give it a filmic look. That'll darken the darks. Interesting. Look what that did, huh? That definitely looks more like film. It's pretty surprising. All of a sudden, this looks pretty flat right here. Hit on S-curve. Boom, it gets a little more cinematic. You're like, why weren't those shadows there in the original? This is starting to look pretty bad. But there's the film effect. You were getting somewhere. Maybe I will take the grain off because it's kind of distracting. Oh. No, but now, yeah, now I can see the pixelation, how this is not perfectly sharp. It's just but the softness doesn't look soft because it's out of focus. It just looks like video compression. So and that's just Kodak Vision. What are the other colors? Fuji. That looks like old-timey, like the 70s. Ooh. I always lean towards the yellowish colors. Ooh. Let's go out to fit it and see what it looks like. There we go. We can get a better idea. And what was it? And him? It was him. We can go ahead and... This is the fun stuff. I like to do the visual stuff. I don't want to be doing login capture crap. What the heck am I doing? Oh yeah, transforming the... So let's... See if that CBSN is distracting. We could just... Doot! Cut it off. And it gives them nice headroom. Looks nice. Looks pretty nice. The brights are a little bright. There's not much I can do about that, because the way this video is compressed and everything, it means that there's probably no details in his head there that I could possibly get back. If I try to bring down the brights... Oh, there's a little bit. Wow, you can actually see the skin kind of, quote-unquote, growing around the edge there. So there was some detail to retain. Very cool. I would probably do a mask then, because it's taking away brights from everywhere. So I would grab a mask. So what I want to affect, the colors that I want to mess with, will only happen within this circle. And it'll be 100% affected in this circle, and then feather off and become less and less affected out to this point where it'll be 0 affected. But I want that feathering to be on there. Let's hide the mask. You can see now. Well, obviously that's obvious, but that's the original. Bring it down. There you go. Better? What about the mids? Can I do anything there? No. He looks like he got a mini missile shot in his head. So there you go. So I could do something like that. And I can animate it and move it around if I want to, if he starts moving around. Which he does turn. Whoa, he moves his head out of the way. Let's look at the, But I probably... Oh yeah, he moved his head into that shot. Okay, I see. I mean, when we get into this, I'm going to be moving so fast that I'm probably not going to be wanting to animate, so what I actually might do is just stretch this the length of the distance that he moves. That's probably what I'm going to do. Maybe rotate it a tiny bit. Whoop. Look at the film constantly changing as I adjust things. That's weird. Yeah, so that's about what I'll do.
So John Dickerson is with us now to talk a little bit more about that
Oh, and then his head goes out of frame. Oh boy.
interview. John.
And if that's the case, I can animate the frame to move up even further if I really wanted to. So it would be something like this. I would say, all right, at this point, we're going to add a keyframe, because that's exactly where I want the footage to be.
So John Dickerson is with us.
Even to there, I want the footage there. Then
now to talk a little bit more about that interview.
I wait to the highest point. Where's the highest that his head goes? And I think that's about as high. Come back down. That's about as high as he goes. So it'll automatically create a new keyframe. Oh, I really don't have much to work with. That's about it. And that's created a second keyframe. We'll move ahead. Oh, and then he comes back down. Okay.
is with us now to talk a little bit more about
Up.
that
You can see it
interview.
moving. I want to hold that keyframe to there, to about this point, so I'll add a keyframe myself. Final Cut's not going to add a keyframe because I didn't adjust anything in the frame. And then it's going to start to come down there. Alright. So we'll rearrange it to there. I mean, news cameras don't really move cinematically like that. So maybe I won't even do this at all for this clip in the end or other clips. But now let's see how this looks.
So John Dickerson is with us now to talk a little bit more about that interview. John, thank you so much for joining us.
That looked weird because the camera itself was kind of shaking left and right, but it kept his headroom now, didn't it?
So John Dickerson is with us now to talk a little bit more about that interview. John, thank you so much for joining us.
If I really wanted to get wild, I wanted to have more fun, I could add another I could do color wheels, I could do color curves. All of these are good. Let's do color curves, why not? I take that back, let's not do that. Do color wheels. I'm gonna add another shape mask. I'm gonna do my own sort of like vignette, just to sort of keep him the most highlighted. So there's, what do I want to do? Do I want to make changes to the inside of the mask, which is inside the red circle, or outside of the mask? I want to do outside. So now everything outside of the mask, where from here to here, it's going to be affected 100%. From outside of the circle right to the edge. And then it's going to start feathering off and become less and less affected all the way to the inner circle. You got it. All right, so let's take the highlights and start bringing them down. Whoa, how about that? Am I right? Yeah, I don't want to go too much, but bring it down. Ooh. There are vignette filters I could bring in, but you know, this is, I like to, let's open up the feathering. Go. Bring that down a bit. Maybe the midtones could be brought down some. No, we can even take the color, the saturation down. Whoa, that's too much. No, I don't want to do that. And the darks. How about that? So, before, after. Wait, let me get the circle away. That's distracting. After, before, after. This is really starting to look like a film set, like we were watching him on a film set, like we've lit him with film lights.
So John Dickerson is with us now to talk a little bit more about that interview. John, thank you so much for joining us. And
this is actually being applied to this entire clip, the vignette and everything. So I would, if I was really going this route, I would find this point here. Probably make a slice right there. What happened? Okay. Oh, I missed it by one. Let me change my edit point then. No problem. Boop. Okay. And then I would take away my my vignette. Boink. See that? Get the female news anchor in there a bit. Kind of like darkening the screen behind John there, but anyway. But the vignette is still on him in this clip.
I would think that
I went offline again. I hit the wrong button again. Well, what I was saying was... What the hell was I saying? Was that if I want to show this graphic, I'd have to... Oh, right, that it's playing kind of choppy, but I've just brought it down to better performance, so it should play more smoothly, but the footage is not going to look as good.
Forever.
Ever, right.
Yeah, so
Oh, they do like a dissolve.
and when he talks about
I can just cut out the dissolve.
About, you know, democratic social.
I could cut out the dissolve and just come to this piece here and change the, like that. There you go. Get the text in there. Make it look nice. Now the candidates will know. Oh. Well, that's not nice. Oh, I see, because I have the, got, there we go. Her headroom actually looks fine right there. Her headroom looks good. His headroom does not look good. Anyway, that's what we're doing here. Alright, so now I will officially end this stream and come back and get back to doing these clips here and doing more. What is this? Oh, huh. I downloaded a clip about CNN, and I guess these people had uploaded them themselves and talked about it ahead of the time. I didn't realize that. Okay.
Has been moved left on issues around race.
Or they end up in. Look how washed out this looks. I mean, this is really this is washed out. Now I don't know if that's the upload particularly, or if it was broadcast this way. I see some sort of logo there. What was that logo? I don't know, but yeah, something like this sort of washed out look is going to look better. So there's the whole screen. So it would need to be resized to fill, and that gives some headroom. If we want, do we want to see the text? Do we not? You can see how much better it looks. If it looks, these blacks actually look too dark, surprisingly. As washed out as it was. I guess a lot of these darks are pretty dark. But I could go in there and just customize this particular clip. So bring it up a bit. Maybe it's the mids. Maybe the blacks need to stay the same, but the mids come up a bit. Something like that. That looks a little bit better. And it does hide all that bad compression. Headroom looks good there. If I cut to him, I'd bring the clip down some. So that's that. I do encourage anyone to go ahead and, you know, make their own videos. All of these from YouTube I've saved on my MagnumDB YouTube channel. I have 3 playlists: Bernie 2020, Bernie 2022, and Bernie 2023. The reason I've have done that, and will be adding Bernie 2024, Bernie 2025, is because I make a playlist throughout the day, and then when the day's over, I can go ahead and import all of those clips into the computer, and then I can start looking for new clips, and I'll put those new clips in the next playlist. So that way I have a fresh playlist, and I know none of these clips have been downloaded yet. So that's why I keep making new playlists, but these are all on here if you want to download them and put them into your own editing software, Premiere or DaVinci or Sony Vegas, whatever you want. I don't care. I would just love to see people making videos, because I know people can do better stuff than I can. I'm more of a narrative film filmmaker. I tell stories. That's what I do. Narrative. I do short films, and I want to do feature films where I tell a story. Putting these highlight things together are not always my thing. I mean, just you can see here I was leaning towards making this look filmic as it was. Maybe that's not even the right thing to do for this type of project, making it look filmic. Oh, LUT utilities. LUT utility is probably what I used in the last video, but all my LUTs got screwed up when I updated my operating system. All the LUTs are now out of order. They were alphabetical and I could find things alphabetically. Now they're just friggin' everywhere. Pro hue. Oof. 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 Magic bullet. I could maybe use. These will give me some lens flares. Cosmo, that would be interesting. Cosmo takes away all of the imperfections on people's skins and whatnot. So if I take off the filter, is it really gonna? Pick his skin tone. Okay. Oh, already he looks smoother. Look at that. Let's zoom into his face. Let's zoom in further. Sorry, guy. Whoever you are, I'm not saying you have bad skin. You just happened to be on the screen when I came up with this idea. It's not really doing much because there's the original. It's so pixelated you can't see any details on his face. Oh wait, let's do Bernie. Oh, let's do. All right, let's do him. Let's do Jackie. What's his face? Get a skin color. Somewhere in the middle. Ooh, it also changed the color of his skin. We don't really want to change the colors. Let's make that more pink. You can see what it's doing there, right? Can I get any closer? The imperfections here get cleaned up. Starting to really look plastic. Oof. Oh, it's back the other way. Oh, look at that. Preserve detail. Oh, that just makes what wasn't fixed look awful. Oh my goodness. I can go subtle with it though. This is gonna play so slow.
I think he will frankly hope to.
Oh, hey, it's not so bad. Oh, right, because it's
not have.
Look at his smooth. We're also closer than anyone would. There you go. So yeah, you can give him a nice smooth look. Why am I getting distracted by all these things? This is a waste. It's just some of the things that you can do. So when I come back, I'm going to finish up it when I do my next video 3. I'm going to go ahead and finish off these videos. Watch all these negative videos where she's trashing Bernie.
And you're pushy, and I don't think you should be leading anybody. If you couldn't control your campaign and what your employees were doing and harassing and paying women unfairly in your campaign.
So she's trashing Bernie. I'll go ahead and yeah, edit all this stuff together. Oh, that's... Does he know he just naturally looks like a villain? Okay, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you anyone that watched the stream. Thank you to anyone who is going to watch this in the future. What I said in the first video was that instead, what I'm thinking currently, that might change, but what I'm thinking right now is that instead of releasing 10, 12, 13 different versions of a FeelTheBern video, I'm just going to release these live streams where you can actually watch me working in real time and see how utterly boring it can be to start. But it's gonna get fun once we start putting things together and do music. But we're at the beginning here where I'm just logging and capturing, and oh yeah, it's the slow, boring part. So if you want to stick with it, you can. If you think you can do better, and I believe you can, I encourage you to do so and do your own thing. Why are you watching me on a Friday night? Get out and do something. All right, good night, everybody. Now I'm going to hit the button to stop the stream, and I'm going to mean it. Yes, I am. Bye-bye.